So this episode's a little bit different. I wrote a piece on my Substack, readblackman.substack.com. Have you been there yet? You really should go. So I wrote this piece, maybe it was a week ago, last week, about where I see agentic AI going, what agentic AI is, and where I think it's going. And it's a sort of weird, bizarre, scary future that I see. But I could be wrong. I don't know. So anyway, I wrote this piece. I put it on Substack a week ago. Good traction. And I gave it to my friend. His name is Eric. We've been friends for, 25 years at this point. What am I? I'm 45. We met when we were 18. And we've been thick as thieves, traveled a good chunk of the world together. And he is also the digital strategist at the School of Visual Arts. He's been building websites forever. He knows the online internet world. And he read my piece and he said, no, I don't think you're right about this. And so I said, why don't you come onto the podcast and tell me why I'm wrong? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the Substack piece that I wrote last week. It's pretty short. I don't know. Maybe it'll take me, I'm going to guess, 7 minutes or so. And after that, I'm going to switch to a conversation that Eric and I had subsequently where he tells me why he thinks I'm wrong and we argue a bit. So you'll hear two friends arguing with each other about whether what I wrote is accurate or not. Okay, that's what this episode is about. I think it's a fun one. Like I said, go to readblackman.substack.com. I don't know why I am speaking so fast right now. A little hyped up, not sure why. And share this podcast with your friends, blah, blah, blah. As you've probably noticed, I'm your host, Reed Blackman. This is called Ethical Machines. And that's it. Let's go listen to me read a thing, and then we'll go listen to Eric take it apart. Eric Corriel is his full name. Did I say that? Eric Corriel. There you go. All right, so here we go. Let's see. The title of this piece is called ChatGPT's Operator Provides a Glimpse into a Very Weird Future. And the little subtitle thing is, everyone went nuts over DeepSeek, but if you want a glimpse into the alien future, pay attention to ChatGPT's demonstration of agentic AI. All right, here goes the piece. Ready? OpenAI released Operator, what they call Operator, just a few weeks ago. It's the first plausible version of what Silicon Valley is calling agentic AI. The idea is simple. AI acts as a quasi-person that carries out a bunch of online tasks for you. It's janky and slow at the moment, but it's the first thing I've seen in a while to which I thought, oh shit, that's a future we're all going to live in. And it's a bit scary. It's one in which we're increasingly guided through life by AI, or rather guided by the winners of AIs battling it out. It's also one where AI manipulating humans is less of an issue than AIs manipulating AIs. In this article, I'll explain the future I see and why it's somewhere between bizarre and dystopian. Suppose you have a human personal assistant, a PA. You tell your human PA to arrange a trip to Vienna for you, leaving on such and such a date and returning on another. You need a 4 or 5 star hotel. You want to be the center of the city. Your PA then will jump online, goes to Kayak or Expedia or Google Flights, whatever, finds a hotel on some other site, and then presents you with some options. And then you tell your PA to go with option 2, here's your credit card, and your PA books all of it. Operator, ChatGPT's Operator, is an AI that's meant to do exactly what your PA does in this example. Instead of telling your human PA, you type it into your chatbot, and bada bing, bada boop, beep, boop, you're eating schnitzel. And honestly, this sounds awesome. I want an AI PA, and I want it now. Except, where's all this going? No one exactly knows, of course, but let's think through this step by step. All right, here's the next section. You get a PA, you get a PA, everyone gets a PA. Forget about AI for a second and let's just imagine a world in which everyone has a PA. What would happen to all those websites that people go to in order to purchase things? Those sites, as far as I can see, would start catering to PAs, of course. Those are the eyeballs they need to capture. Those are the people around whom they'll develop their SEO strategy. They're the people they'll try to get the attention of and persuade them that this is the place to buy and this is what to buy. The rationale is simple. The PAs are the gatekeepers of the wallets of the people they serve. This would be a very convenient world. It would also be one in which we might wonder whether our PAs are representing our interests well. We might be concerned about their ulterior motives. It would also probably be a world in which we forget how to do things ourselves. When the PAs go on strike, the world comes to a grinding halt because, wait, how do you buy a plane ticket again? It's a world of celebrities who actually have to take care of the daily tasks of life that they haven't done for 10 years. To be honest, I don't hate this world. I have little patience for tasks. I'm a procrastinator. I've got Substack pieces to write, damn it. But a world where everyone but the PAs, who sadly lack PAs themselves, do all the things, doesn't sound great. Sounds like a world of mostly inept, coddled, easily manipulated babies. I also wonder a bit whether not being engaged in those daily tasks is alienating. We read stories about how celebrities just want to go to the damn supermarket themselves and be normal for a second. They don't want to do it every day, but once in a while. There's something really interesting about that desire, I think. It speaks to a kind of connectedness we want with how we live our lives. Metaphorically, let alone being literally spoon-fed, seems to be bad for us. Look, I don't want to exaggerate this point. My wife and I have a cleaning person come to our house regularly, and as a result, I never clean the toilets. If that means I'm a bit alienated from the goings-on of day-to-day life, that's fine by me. I suppose the thing to say here is that we want to avoid the extremes. I don't want to clean toilets, but I also don't want anyone to cut my steak for me. As my 6-year-old reminds me daily, there's pride with doing something, quote, all by myself. Next section. Replace human PAs with AI PAs. Now let's take the world and replace all the human PAs with AI agents. What we get, just like we did with human PAs, is an online world that talks to AI PAs, not the people the AIs represent. More specifically, first, websites will be built around interactions with AI agents, not people. That means no need to create websites that look or feel a certain way. AI doesn't care about that sort of thing. So when your AI PA goes to a website, it's more the back end of the website, assuming the front end still exists. The AI doesn't need a browser in the way that we do. Of course, this claim is restricted to what one might call purely functional websites as opposed to websites we want to engage in directly because we enjoy the content. Second, AI PAs become the gatekeepers to the human wallets. As such, the websites will compete for their attention. Third, it won't be a human competing for their attention in the ways marketers or designers of advertisements compete. It won't even be traditional SEO that's built to track the desires and intentions of human Googlers. It will be other AIs, the website's AIs, that try to break through to capture the attention of the AI PA's digital eyeballs. Only they'll do it in a way we don't understand. Fourth, all this negotiating, getting attention of AI PAs, decisions made by our PAs, and so on, all happens behind the scenes. To us, it's seamless, but it's a war back there, and the AIs who can command the attention of the other AIs is very powerful. Fifth, all this means that the concern that AI will be used to manipulate people isn't the right story, or at least it's far from the whole story. The issue isn't so much AI manipulating humans as it is AI manipulating the AIs that we trust to carry out our ends. Sixth, the potential for being alienated from day-to-day life is far greater than the world in which we all have human PAs. And just like spoiled billionaires' kids, we become increasingly inept. All right, last section, the social and political implications. Up to this point, I focused primarily on how all this affects us as individuals in our day-to-day lives. But it's also worth thinking about what things look like from a social political perspective. More to the point, I worry all this leads to increased control of the masses by corporations and thus the potential need for regulations. As for corporations, they're the ones that will own the AIs that try to lure your AI PA to their website to buy their products. Amazon's AI will be quite good at this. So when your AI goes off to pursue your goals, Amazon will capture your AI's attention in a way that some other company's AI will not, even though buying from that other company is better for you. Multiply that over thousands or tens of thousands of activities your AI carries out for you, and you quickly see how Amazon gets more and more access to you and your wallet in a way that doesn't benefit you. And once we ask, who's creating and or providing our AI PAs to us, you can see the obvious potential for conflicts of interest. Suppose the company that provides you with your AI PA also owns one of the websites that is trying to sell to your AI PA. Would it surprise anyone if Amazon sells or even just gives away an AI PA that just happens to be quite cozy with the Amazon website? Would it then surprise anyone if your Amazon-owned AI didn't so much represent your interests as it does Amazon's interests and recommends products on its website instead of, say, Walmart's? This strikes me as a kind of AI agent monopoly. I hereby trademark and copyright and whatever else agentic monopolies. Whether it's anti-competitive in a way that would place it within the purview of existing anti-monopoly law or some other relevant law, I have no idea. Either it doesn't, in which case we may need an update to account for this scenario, or it does, but it will be a legal and political battle to extend and enforce those existing laws and regulations to cover AI agentic activity. None of this is guaranteed, of course. This is empirical speculation. But as far as I can see, the only thing that stops this from coming to fruition is the inability of data scientists to get agents to work in the way they want. Based on what I've seen, I'm cautiously optimistic they'll figure it out. Or perhaps I should say, cautiously pessimistic. All right, that's the end of the piece. Again, you can find it at readblackman.substack.com, called ChatGPT's Operator Provides a Glimpse into a Very Weird Future. And now, part 2 of this episode, all new kind of format. My friend Eric, and digital strategist at School of Visual Arts and a visual artist himself, is going to tell me why everything I just said is totally misguided. All right, have fun. Okay, tell me why I'm wrong.
That's not how it was supposed to go. You're supposed to lead me into.
No, you think I'm wrong. You read the thing. Everyone has now, who's listening to this, they read the thing or they heard me read the thing. You think I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, all right. Okay, I think you're wrong on, I'm going to say 2 points. One is that this is going to drastically change the internet and how websites are built. And then the other point is that this is going to drastically degrade the, I guess, the quality of life or the quality of human interactions that we generally have with other people.
Yeah.
Kind
All right,
of,
start with the internet thing.
okay, so the internet thing. First of all, we have been making websites for robots for a very long time. The websites have been moving towards greater and greater accessibility for a long time. What that means is that people who might have certain disabilities, whether that be through visual impairments, or maybe they can't move a mouse as well as maybe as you can read, we make.
I'm very skilled at mouse moving.
I thought that
I
was,
don't like to talk about it a lot,
yeah,
but
yeah, I
it's
know.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's hidden on your LinkedIn, but I've seen it. And so for screen readers and all these kinds of different kinds of software that are built to help people navigate the internet outside of kind of what we might, deem as like normal interactions. These pieces of software have been parsing web pages and clicking on things and acting for people for a very long time. And so what I
Mm-hmm.
imagine that this operator technology is doing is very much like a screen reader, aside with just the addition of being able to accomplish a very simple task. So it's like it reads the page like a screen reader does, and then it is able to click around. So
Sure,
that I
but
don't
that's
think
got to
is
go away. That's going to go away.
what is
No,
what
I think that's so. My claim is that's going to go away, or at least it won't be used as much because they'll figure out how to get agents to interact with the stuff that underlies the front end UX. It'll just be directly tied into the source of information as opposed to having to quote unquote look at the screen and click on things in the way that we do.
I'm doubtful about that. First of all, we could have that future right now, right? So there's two ways of interacting with web-based services. There are what we call APIs, which are programmatic interfaces for all kinds of services. So when you go and book a flight on Google Flights and it's scanning all these different airlines and stuff, it is not
Yeah.
doing what operator is doing, right? It is going through the back
Right. Yeah.
end, so
Yeah.
to speak, and interacting directly with the databases and the services of all these different airlines.
Right. It
And
doesn't go to UnitedAirlines.com. It
yeah,
just
it is not doing that.
hooks up to some thing software and
Exactly.
gets pulls the information.
So for any website or any service that is going to want to cater to AIs or bots or anything like that, we already have technology for that, and it's great. And it's called APIs, and they work quite well. And that is going to be a million times faster to engage and interact directly with the back end or the databases than clicking through a website. Now, the reason why we don't have APIs everywhere is because they're hard to build and they're expensive to maintain, and they require a lot of different security operations around them. So they're not the easiest thing, which is why the last time I checked, virtueconsultants.com does not have an API backend where
There's nothing
bots,
there.
yeah, bots can go
It's
and get information. So for a lot of sites and a lot of businesses and organizations, they're not going to put the resources into having this API, this application interface,
okay. Let me
still
stop you
have
there.
a front end. Yeah.
Okay, the claim is not that there won't be a front end. I think that probably there will be a front end for stuff, especially for the sites that you're not going through for purely functional things. If it's like, obviously, if it's like a Netflix or something like that, obviously you need a front end because you're going to watch stuff. Or if it's a website about art and you want it's visual art, you got to see it. Obviously, it's going to be front end. So I don't think that we're talking about the death of front end design more generally, but I think that if not the death, the enfeeblement of what I want to call purely functional websites.
Yeah.
And here's why.
Hmm.
Wait, hold on. Here's my claim why they will spend the money to get the agents to talk to the site directly. It's precisely because usually they have people going to their sites, and now they're going to have agents going to their sites. So they're going to have to build for agents as opposed to building for people. Primarily, that'll be their main thing because let's just suppose a world in which everyone has an AI agent do their bidding for them of this purely functional variety. That's the attention they got to grab. That's what they have to talk to. That's the gatekeeper now. So I think they will be financially incentivized to create more of what I don't want to call. I don't know if I should call it an easier API or something along those lines, but that's the claim.
Okay, so I disagree. What I think organizations will do is they will optimize for both. I don't think there's a world in which AI agents completely take over any kind of tasks like 100%, or maybe there are, but very few. Most of the time, don't forget, just because that OpenAI releases an operator package, which I think is like $200 a month right now, not everybody's going to have access to all these things
Yeah,
forever.
fast forward 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, whatever. Eventually,
The it will make the most
let me ask you
sense.
this: are you going to go to kayak.com and yelp.com and
Kayak.com.
hotels.com?
Was this
You're not.
1994? Kayak.com?
What do
Yeah.
you mean?
Are they still around?
Who does it go to? .com?
Kayak?
Is kayak not around anymore? Expedia? Is that a thing still?
Yeah, sure. Expedia.
Anyway, I think that fewer people will go to those sites. You say they're going to optimize for both, but let's imagine a world where most people have some version of an agent. And yeah, maybe right now it's $200 a month. Amazon is just going to give it away to consumers for free. It's going to be part of Amazon Prime is get your AI agent and Amazon AI agent, which of course is going to be biased towards Amazon, but that's a separate issue. I think that many fewer people, like the percent of people who are going to a site of a Expedia, whatever, GeoCities, is that still what is GeoCities? The percent of visitors to the site will massively shift from agents, AI to people. And so why optimize for both equally if only 5% of the things that go to the site are people and the other 95% are agents?
Look, in the world you just described, why would, of course, if the world turns out to be that 95% of internet traffic or transactional traffic are bots, then yeah, of course, organizations are going to
Okay.
optimize for that. Okay, but that's you just stipulated your own case for
Yeah.
success. But
Well,
if that might not, if the future is not that, if the future is 50-50, if the future is 40-30,
yes.
okay, then it's going to make sense. So
Yeah,
we
but
don't know
the
what that future is going to be.
sure. But the premise is yes, of course. If agents don't really get widespread traction, we're not going to get this. But the whole point is, suppose agents get widespread traction. Now what world are we in? And then the claim is we're in a world in which most of those functional websites, their traffic comes from those agents, not people, and so they're going to optimize for the bots, not the people.
Okay, so let me steel man your argument and then let me straw man it. The steel man is like, hey, Eric, look, remember those travel agencies that we used to go to in the 80s and the 90s? Along came this disruptive technology, and or is anybody complaining that we're not going and spending half a day in travel agencies, and that we're not going and looking
Sure,
at
now we have
travel brochures
the internet.
and all of
Yeah,
that? Okay, this is going to be just like that. This is going to be, remember all those travel
yeah,
websites
I
that
like
we used
that.
to go to? Okay, those are gone.
Fuck the
Okay,
steel man.
okay, could that's certainly a possible future. And here's why that might not happen. The two reasons I could see. One is that if you're an Expedia, if you're, I guess Kayak still exists, we'll find out, I'm sure, in the comments. But if you're any one of these travel websites, I guess there are going to be two ways, let's just for simplification, simplify it, two ways that people are going to, why are people going to book through you than through somebody else? One is going to
Yep.
be brand recognition in all the kind of traditional ways that people get, that organizations get people to come to their site, which is advertising, which is all the kinds of brand awareness and all that's marketing and stuff like that. That is going to still be a factor. If a brand is still going to need to attract any kind of human attention, then they're going to need to be able to have something to put there for humans to see and to react to.
Okay, but see, that's where I think you're mistaken. Because I don't think that for those websites, I do think the brand is going to have to go away. Because do you care if your bot goes to Kayak or Expedia or Google Flights? Or no, you don't care. You just want it to go off and bring you back the stuff. And so I actually do think that for those functional websites, the branding, the brand is an attempt to get the attention, the eyeballs of people, capture their emotions, capture their attention, whatever. But if the bots are doing the stuff, then those sites are going to care less much about getting the eyeballs of humans and care much more about the digital eyeballs of the AI agents. And so it's going to be a different kind of strategy. It's not going to be branding. It'll be, I don't know, whatever one does to get the attention of an LLM.
Yeah, yeah. So that's AI SEO, which I think there's already a term
Yeah,
for,
Agentic SEO.
agentic SEO.
I don't know if
Which,
that exists, but that'll be a thing.
yeah,
It's
I've
got to
already
be.
heard people talking about that.
Nope, I made it up.
Okay,
It's my
we
coined it.
heard it here first.
Yeah,
This is where I always come for breaking news and
yeah, obviously.
neologisms. How do you pronounce that word?
Yeah, king of neologisms.
Okay, sure. Look, nobody, I don't think anybody can say that nothing is going to change. Things are going to change. And I think maybe
Yeah,
we're just arguing about degree. And y-
yeah, maybe.
the great thing is that we live in a market-based economy and people are going to try all this stuff, right? And probably pretty quickly. So we'll probably get to see relatively soon. And I guess, look, I think it's going to come down to, is the kind of future is the future going to be more of a symbiotic, not symbiotic, but are we going to be existing in some kind of like harmony as
Yeah, it's 50-50 versus 90-10
yeah,
with AI.
exactly. And what is the market going to want? I had a conversation recently with some designers about the fact that it's not going to be too long before AIs are going to be able to design book covers and things like this.
Sure.
And I still have a question as to whether or not that's obviously true. And of course, now with ChatGPT, we're going to have more books published than ever. And so, what a better time to be able to ramp up production of book covers along with the
Yeah.
number of books that are going to be in publication. But I do question whether the market is going to validate using AI for certain services, like creation of book covers. So, if you're browsing in a bookstore, do you, as a reader, do you pay any mind or attention to the fact that, oh, this book cover, this book was generated with AI in probably zero point 0.5 seconds?
You're just looking at quality.
Or this one that was wrought over by a person and by a designer in conjunction with the author to really get you went through this process with ethical machines. Of course, the AI is going to be able to do it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the market is going to value that.
Okay.
So
Yeah. It
just
depends on how good high quality it
I don't
pushes
know.
stuff
No,
out, and if people
I
are
don't
happy
think
it's good
I don't
enough.
think it's a quality issue because I don't think that from just looking at it, you're going to be able to discern a noticeable difference in the quality. Look at any of these AI images right now. The quality is impeccable.
Yeah, it's now. Wait. Oh,
I don't think so. I don't
no.
think,
Quality from a design perspective.
yeah, maybe, but assuming that these AIs do what they do with everything else, which is just ingest everything and make
Hmm.
really better versions of most things, I don't think it'll be a quality issue. The quality will be, let's assume the quality is there, and let's make it into a thought experiment. So assume that equal levels of quality. Is there going to be, as humans, reading other humans' work, are we going to, is the market going to value a book cover generated by a, what does that say about the book?
Yeah, totally.
Um,
They
as,
won't even know. They won't know.
oh, they'll know because,
No, you're a designer. You live in it,
no,
and
no.
everyone's human design. It's a real emotion.
I think that there will be people who are going to try and make this distinction in the market. That will in just like everybody tries to differentiate themselves in the market.
Yeah,
People
maybe.
who are using quote unquote human designers for their
Yeah,
books
yeah.
are going
I still
to
think it.
make a
Yeah,
note of that.
I agree, but I still think it's going to be like 90-10 AI human designer. Let's turn before we wrap up. You don't seem worked up about the alienation stuff that I talked about.
Yeah.
On the one hand, I'm with you because who wants to do this shit?
Yeah.
If the AI can do it, great. And either I'm not alienated or I am, but I just don't care because it's a thing that to which I don't really want to be connected.
Yeah.
On the other hand, all right, whatever. I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Let's. This is how I see it, and I will split tasks into two types: identity affirming and non-identity affirming. So booking travel takes probably
Yeah.
a few hours these days to really get everything nailed down, and especially if you're coordinating with other people. Now, would anybody, myself, speaking for myself, would I rather have that time to say work on my art, spend with my family, read a book? Of course I
Yeah, yeah,
would, right?
yeah.
These are things that are going
Sure.
to enhance my sense of self and fulfillment in life, et cetera, et cetera. W- that to me sounds like a great trade-off. Trading off a non-identity affirming task, which is like booking travel, which doesn't do really
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
for
yeah,
me,
yeah.
right? For something that's going to eventually fulfill my life a little bit more.
Sure.
So that's where I think the trade-off. And going back to our early example, we remember Gen X. We remember back in the day, like we would if our parents were booking a trip for us. I remember going to a travel
Yeah.
agency and it's half a day. And could you imagine doing that now? That sounds like
Yeah. No, that
insane.
sucks. Okay,
But
but here's the thing. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
okay, I was just going to say that it's also a bit of a trap because I think what will happen is that for a lot of people who maybe are not super focused on what their identity is or what they want it to be, like, there's going to come
Or
with a
just
lot
that
of
they're not
trap,
engaged in other kinds of tasks.
or they're
Like,
not. Yeah,
right. It
right.
could just be you're into art. Like they just don't have hobbies like that. The time frees them up so they can scroll through TikTok more.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. And so
Not
yeah,
exactly identity affirming.
right, exactly. And so that's the kind of the flip side, which is that yes, we don't have to go to the travel agency anymore because computers and the internet. But of course, that has
Yeah.
brought all other kinds of ways that people are wasting their time. Now, if you can avoid those, right? I try
Yeah.
to spend as
Yeah.
little time on social media as possible, and that's a net win for me. But a lot of people either can't or don't want to or not even aware that there is another option, and so
Yeah.
they get sucked even deeper in, and they're probably worse off or possibly worse off than they were before.
Yeah.
So I think it cuts both
Yeah, that's a
ways.
nice point, actually. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's right. Because The AI technologists are like, oh, it's going to free us up to be more creative. We can do that. And I think most people, they're not creative. They don't want to be creative. They want to go to work, get their shit done, and they want to go home and drink a beer and watch TV or scroll through TikTok or whatever the hell it is. And that's why we get the Wall-E world. We get the Wall-E world where people are just strapped into their chairs and the computer does all the shit for them.
Yeah.
Not because the AI is capable of doing so much stuff, but because we have failed to actually get off our asses and engage with the world, whether it's art or philosophy or building stuff for fun or whatever. So yeah, I see that point. The problem is less, it's not that it's alienating us. That's not the core of the problem. The problem is that humans are insufficiently interesting on an individual level.
Yeah, I think we're just very easily hijacked.
Yeah, that's true.
I think people talk about all the ways in which we're wired and have been wired for the last 10,000 years evolutionarily, and how that's not necessarily suiting us super well in these times. And that's definitely going to get worse. You could just imagine the kinds of games that AIs are going to enable and create, and the ways in which people are going to get further maybe alienated from themselves or what could be their true interests.
Yeah. I still think that there's still something about if you can't do the stuff yourself, there's something objectionably alienating about that. I think those people at Wall-E, part of the objection is they can't do anything by themselves. There's something about the level of incompetence that they've reached that is, it's maybe alienation's not the right phrase, maybe something like a deterioration of capacities.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
But that's a continual trade-off. Your ability to get anywhere without GPS is significantly degraded from our parents' generation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Calculators, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. So maybe it's... I wonder, I don't know. Does it really just boil down to you're going to do shitty things with your newfound time? Or is it... okay, what about the thing where, celebrities just want to shop for their own damn apples? That feels like it speaks to something human. I don't know.
Yeah, they are. I guess they're so embubbled. Use that for neologism.
That's a good neologism. That's a great one.
Yeah, that they are
embubbled,
reaching for any kind of connection.
Okay, that's my point, though.
Cut off. Yeah, but I don't think we're not going to get there with Operator. That is kind of a different level of thing.
Yeah, it could only be one arrow in the quiver of alienation. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm mostly persuaded, I think. All right. I think, I don't know. So you're persuaded? You're on my side now?
What side is that?
What's my point again? Yeah, we're going to be alienated. I think you did a nice job.
I think most people will be more alienated. I think most people will be more alienated, but some people will really reap the benefits of this time, of this productivity and time saving, right, and really use that. But we still
disagree on the 90-10 thing, 50-50. I think we still disagree on the...
Yeah, I don't think look, let's put a pin in this and let's put a reminder for 5 years from now and see how much the internet has changed. Whether Expedia.com or Kayak is still around in anything resembling its current form. Yeah, I bet they will be. I bet they will be.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You don't even think Kayak exists now.
Yeah.
5 years from now, definitely not. All right. Thanks, man.
All right.
Next time you read something that I write and you don't like it, you tell me. You come back on.
All right. See you next Thursday.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. And now let me thank the people who have made this podcast possible. So, first of all, we have Delano Alexander. He's been with me since day one. He showed me even how to start recording a podcast in the first place. He does editing stuff. He's been fantastic, and he does really everything I ask him to and more. I've never met anyone else who just says so much. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out. What more could you ask for in a producer? Next up, Jennifer Strong, my podcast guru. I don't know what else to call her. She just has advised me on how to design the podcast, how to grow it, and she's responsible for, if you like, this kind of season 2 relaunch and everything around it. So thank you to you, Jennifer. Next up, Meg Marco, responsible for all the excellent artwork. Before I did the artwork, I didn't really know what I was doing. We put it together. It worked well enough, but I think Meg really did a phenomenal job bringing everything together. Garrett Lang, sound engineer that I frankly don't deserve. He's just too good for this podcast. Don't tell him I said that, though. Next up, Benjamin Koltgen, He is a professor of philosophy who has helped me source guests, identify who's interesting, who has things to say, etc., etc. So without him, I wouldn't have anyone to talk to. And then finally, Ashley Wasilenko, who helps with all manner of administrative things, making sure that the podcast guests find their way to the podcast, can schedule the recording, get their bios and headshots, and really just keeping the show on the rails and me organized. Thanks to all of you. Really appreciate all your hard work.